Have you ever seen someone do something so outrageous that you can't help but think, this stupid crazy situations happen all the time, and people get into situationships on a regular. So, what would you do if you were in their place? Check out our podcast as we discuss just that on What Would You Do podcast on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and all your other favorite streaming services. Make sure to search hashtag What Would You Do podcast.
BOSS Radio, Southside Bosses, its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of the site or the radio station, and opinions between talk show hosts may conflict. This site does not endorse anything as the truth. That you will have to judge for yourself. But we try to speak the truth on the owner's behalf and reserve the right to question the supposed truth. In this time of misinformation, government-controlled media, and government corruption, it is sometimes hard to get to the truth, but we must try. It is not our intention to libel, discriminate, make hate, or annoy anyone. We believe that it is our constitutional First Amendment right of free speech to voice our opinions and our duty to the Constitution and country to expose the truth. This site takes no responsibility for the opinions of others and the postings of comments in chat rooms or forum posts.
This is talking. I ain't saying nothing.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? This is your boy, Mr. E, boss of the Southside Bosses, and we are here live on BOSS Radio, talking but ain't saying nothing here podcast, where we like to talk to y'all about all the little current events that's going on. You know how we like to get it down. So we want to invite you all to go ahead and join our podcast at on all streaming services, whether it's Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, and more. That is talking but ain't saying nothing here on BOSS Radio. You can also find us on sbcmovement.com. You can find BOSS Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You know how we like to get it down. So make sure y'all follow us and share us, like us, and share us to all your family and friends. That way we can go ahead and get this podcast pumping, you heard me? Well, right now we got a great topic that we want to talk to y'all about. We already know what happened yesterday. The Supreme Court reversed the decision, a 50-year decision on abortion with Roe versus Wade. So we're going to have great guests on here today to join us on this commentary, along with my beautiful co-host, Miss E Squared, in the building.
What's up, what's up, what's up?
All right, and we also got two wonderful guests on the building. We're going to go on the phone. We'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Mel, you want to go first?
Yes, this is Melinda.
What's up?
Cedar Park.
All right. And how about our other guest, Tori? You there?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
All right. We got two enthusiastic guests
All right,
today.
Tori and Melinda. Hey.
Yeah, it's going to be a real good show. All right, so we already know what happened yesterday. The Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. Now, they pretty much, I want to be clear, they didn't outlaw abortion. Now, a lot of people think that the Supreme Court outlawed abortion. What they did was they pretty much gave the power back to the states in order to make that decision on whether abortion should be legal or not. And it has caused an uproar, not for the right reason. I understand. But first, I want to go through and get my guest's opinion, the brief opinion on of this, and then we're gonna get into the grit details of it. But ladies, let's start with Mel. Mel, what is your opinion about the landmark decision yesterday to overturn Roe versus Wade?
It is outrageous. The fact that we're stepping back 50 years now, you have no right whatsoever to my body, to any female's body. If it were on the other foot, being male, and then you have your choice, but to carry a child, they never included rape or incest. So, I mean, you're just making people have babies, but then you're going to have a problem once they come here, whether they're trans, bi, black, Mexican, you know, you're going to have problems afterward. But right now, when they're in the belly, you want to act like you're entitled to whatever my life is going to be like.
Then they're entitled also about if the baby ends up on welfare or if they end up on welfare trying to take care of the baby. But I guess that's a different story. I want y'all, the guests, to speak.
Okay.
Tori,
all right,
what do you
Tori,
feel?
what about you?
Yeah, I completely agree. The biggest issue that I'm having with all of this is that our government entity thinks that they have sovereign autonomy over our bodies. So it's like, okay, we're either going to say you're an individual, you can choose how you want to live, what you want to do, and be responsible for the choices that you make, or we're going to go on the exact flip side and say, okay, well, we actually don't want you to have full control and freedom over yourself, which we really never had in this country to begin with, especially black women. We're the lowest on the totem pole. So it's like, I don't believe in forcing people to do something if it's really not something they want to do. You know, I believe you're an adult. Once you turn 18, you should be able to choose how you want to live and what happens to you and your body and your lifestyle. I don't necessarily agree with abortion personally, but I have no right enforcing my views on another woman. That I have no right whatsoever, neither does the government.
All right, I feel that. All right, what about you, Miss E Squared? What's your full opinion about it now that we got you on the mic?
Well, I can agree to disagree. I don't agree with the government, like the Tori and Melinda are saying. I do not agree with the government trying to tell me what I can do or what I cannot do with my own body. I did that when I joined the military. I'm not in the military anymore. So why are you still trying to tell me what I can and cannot do with my body? I tried to get my tubes tied in the military. They had the nerve to tell me, oh, well, you're still too young. You're married. This is only your second child. What if you get a divorce? Or what if you want more children? Okay, I can get my tubes reversed or I can adopt. Who are you to continue to tell me what to do with my body? Now, on the other hand, I don't believe in using abortion as a form of birth control. So that's where I also agree with Tori about being more responsible. People need to be more responsible on who they're laying down with and what they're bringing into this world. That's not just women, but it's men as well. So that part goes both ways.
I just got one thing to say. I am so glad that men aren't the ones that carry babies, because the world will be depopulated. We got to push something out of us. Nah, that ain't happening, bro. That ain't happening,
it's not
bro.
even the fact of the men carrying the baby. It's about also the responsibility, and it's about women's health. What are you going to do if she can't carry the baby? What are you going to do when it comes to a life decision?
Okay,
it's either her life or the baby's life. Who you going to choose?
Okay, that's actually a good question.
And
like,
if I could,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If I could add to that, let's say you do want to let's say you get pregnant, you want the pregnancy, right? It's something you've been praying about, but let's say something goes wrong and it turns out to be an ectopic pregnancy. That requires a medical abortion, and if you don't get it, you die.
Exactly.
Same with if you have a septic uterus. That technically would require a medical abortion, and if you don't get it, you will die from sepsis. Same with if you get a miscarriage. This actually happened to my cousin. She wanted nothing more to be a mother. However, she ended up having a miscarriage, and the baby was not coming out on its own. So she had to have a medically induced, technically abortion. Otherwise, she would have died. So I think the issue with the Supreme Court is, one, them thinking that they have any right to decide for a woman how she would carry or not carry pregnancy, and they left this huge gray area for the states and individuals to discuss how we are right now. Like, what about all the others? It's not just, I don't agree with women, they get pregnant once a month, every month, and they don't feel like taking care of it, so
Right.
they go down to the clinic. Now, I don't agree with that. But what about for the people with the intention of going through pregnancy, and it's just not physically or medically viable? What do we do with those women? Because if we're incriminating those women, that's wrong. That's wrong, and same with the victims of rape and incest. What do we do with those people as well? And they just left it wide open.
So they left it for the states to deal with
Yeah.
it. Pretty much that's what the Supreme Court is saying. They don't want anything else to do with it. You have a state, you're in that state for a reason. So now,
Right.
this is also, it's an underlining message. This is also pushing people to need to get out there and say, hey, you're supposed to be my representative. I need to make sure that you're the ones that's in office. Even though they
Right.
say one thing and then when they get into office, it's something completely different. So
Right.
now
And
you're right back at the beginning. What do you do?
Unfortunately, as well, in most of the states that have already banned it, those are the states with the lowest sex education that's made readily available to teenagers and young adults, which, if we want to get to the root cause of why people get abortions, it's either lack of proper sex education made readily available, cultural influences as well, because people, how families can be sometimes. Some will keep pregnancies hush-hush if they think that the girl is too young or whatever, like a lot of shame into it. Or if you look at it as a socioeconomic issue, the communities that are more likely to, or the demographics that are more likely to get an abortion, right? It's usually people who are not able to afford proper child care.
Okay. All right, I feel that. All right, we just had a new entry into the chat room. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah. Hello, this is Usra Ali. Calling in to see, to talk about what happened yesterday, right?
Oh, yes, sir. All right, yeah, we're talking about what happened with the landmark case Roe versus Wade when they overturned when they took the power of abortion out of the federal hands and put it back into the state hands. Let's get your quick opinion about that.
I think it's going back to the original principles of what this country was founded on. I mean, America already has been tried and proven, whatever you want to call it, product, or it's been a proven phenomenon already, and I just think it needs to go back to the original principles, so the whole world can follow suit, really, because America is the most influential geographical place in the world. Everybody watch America to see what they do next.
So
Okay.
do you think that's okay though? Everybody,
Do I
you're
think it's okay?
right. Yeah, you're right. Everybody is watching America. So do you think that that's okay to take pretty much the rights away from women? Your mom, your sister, your aunt, your niece, your daughter, your girlfriend, wife. Is it okay to take the rights away from her and put it in the state's hands?
Well, I'm not a woman, so I don't want to speak on. I have two sisters though, and I understand women nature quite well, but I'm not inside a woman, inside a woman's body to know how women feel right now. But I can say it's the right decision for this time, because I don't know if y'all understand. You gotta look at the peripherals of outside of that decision. The rest of the world views North America right now as like a red zone. Like, they started the mask mandate, and when they kicked off the mask mandate, everybody else did it, and that upset a lot of, world leaders and stuff. Because again, we are the most influential area in the world. So I just think it's the right decision. It's like a silent war going on between the world leaders. I can only say it's the right decision for human nature or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
I can't speak on a woman's behalf though.
Okay, so
This is still only the second day. I gotta see coming week. I have to see what women say after all this settled in.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Oh yes,
Okay.
I went ahead.
So-
Yoshua, Yoshua, I muted you so we could be able to hear because you got a lot of background noise. All right, go ahead, Melinda. I'm sorry.
Okay, so since it's okay in his point of view that women's choice is being taken away, just to go back to how it was, and since some people have issues with they view abortion as murder, why would it also be okay in the gentleman's view if the government enforced a law that would make men who could have children, men can have 1 million babies, just one guy could have hundreds of kids. So should we then also, since we want to regulate women's bodies and reproductive rights, should we also regulate men's bodies and reproductive rights by asking all the men to get vasectomy? Because then there wouldn't be any abortion if we get down to it, right?
Right. I agree. I like that.
All right, that's a fair question. What about?
If we're using that logic, right? We're putting the burden of pregnancy, of choice of pregnancy on the women. Why don't we just cut the whole middleman out and say, well, women can only get pregnant through a man. So why don't we put the responsibility on the men, because they can procreate way faster than a woman can. It takes a woman 9 months to create one child, but a man could get several women pregnant every single day. So why would we not, that begs the question, why would we put the burden on a woman and really not on the men?
Because that makes way too much sense.
It really does.
All right, Yehoshua, what you think about that?
To be another question would be, is this really about reproductive rights, or is this another way for men, not all men, but for the men in power to control women once again?
Yes. Yes.
Well, to answer that question, society thinks women control sex and men control relationships.
Yeah.
So, in order for a woman to get pregnant, she has to have intercourse. And unless it's rape, of course, but I think a lot of it should be put on both. If you speak on that, both are responsible for consensual intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you're going to say that, then you got to put it on both. That's the best way I can answer that, because that's kind of like a tricky question.
Yeah, it's like an equal responsibility. I feel that it's like an equal responsibility.
Equal responsibility, yeah.
But then another
Y'all have to come with a co-ed convention. Y'all have to. It can't be a segregation conversation.
Well, that's the whole thing I'm thinking is that, if we're going to regulate one part of society, then regulate it all. And if that's the case, then we really have to ask ourselves, are we ourselves in control of our own bodies, or are we okay with a government entity controlling what we do? And if you don't like it, then you have to make certain changes with who we elect.
Yes, that's true.
This has nothing to do. No. This has, not to cut you off, of course, but this has nothing to do with, again, this has nothing to do with who you elect. This has something to do with America being the most influential. And America is a red zone right now. There's other world leaders involved in these decisions that the public media is not telling y'all. It's not just the Republicans doing this. It's other people that have infiltrated, because this next so-called election is very crucial for internationally. Not just here nationally in America. Y'all just focusing on this one part of the world, which is called North America, and it's way more in depth.
Well,
than that.
yeah, that actually does bring up a good point, because only 33% of Americans actually wanted Roe versus Wade overturned. 63% of Americans wanted it to stay intact. So where did this overwhelming? Because I heard about that a lot on the news. They were talking about it's more of a popularity contest and stuff like that. But in actuality, this isn't popularity, because the most popular opinion was to keep Roe versus Wade in effect. So why do you think the justices did take this way? I want to hear from Tori. Tori, what do you think? Why do you think the justices did take this turn?
So, okay, if we look at the last presidential dude we had in office, he put into place certain Supreme Court justices to make these ultra-conservative decisions, right?
Yes.
This wasn't just a random decision. This was a planned-out decision to get the ball rolling, to take us back to a more conservative, old-school America. So, not only would this, people forget, this is just the tip of the iceberg, okay? Because look at what happens if women don't have proper health care access, right? And they have to carry all these children to term. What about those kids who, the moms actually don't want them? So now you're either going to end up in foster care, you're going to be put on the adoption market, which those services are already saturated. We don't have enough foster homes for these kids to go to. And we don't have enough people adopting because it's too expensive to have children right now. So either they're in the foster care system, or they are now introduced to a life of poverty because the parents don't actually want to take care of a child, right? Because you could get pregnant off of a one-night stand when you're 16, 17 years old, and boom, you're not even out of school yet, and you got a whole kid with that you have to deal with, right? So this was not just a random decision. This was planned, because what happens to America when you disassemble the household? All the power is basically stripped away from the people, right? If you have a single mother home or a single parent, because mothers aren't just single parents, it's guys and girls, right? So if you have a single parent home, that means it's going to be harder for you to find an affordable and safe child care facility to take them, so that you could then go to work, so that you could then afford to pay for housing, food, gas. It's just a cycle of poverty. So if you disenfranchise the home, then you have an ultimate working class of people, right? Because people don't want to go back to work right now, because there's been this shift since the pandemic started of, hey, we want better working conditions, and we're not coming back until you give it to us. So by disenfranchising the house, you now have a permanent generational working class. So I don't think it was, and if you look at the market right now, we're headed for a recession, and they're claiming that it's going to be even worse than the 2008 crash that we had a few years ago. So if you look at it from an economic standpoint, the two things that make this country money is war and more war, honestly.
Yeah. What about you, Mel? What do you think about why the overwhelming opinion was not a popular opinion?
I have no idea. Things are being said make sense. However, I think a lot of things that we're discussing right now make too much sense. It's too easy to apply certain things that would make it easier for people. One thing is America loves labeling. Second thing, they love to control whatever it is, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. You're right about that.
I think without a solution, they think the pregnant. Okay, afterwards, when you have the babies who are being abused, when you have them because we don't have enough in foster care now, you know, there are other things to think about. They want to bitch about whether or not we can afford to have kids, whether or not, you know, their biggest thing now, trans, gay, bi, tri, whatever. I think the government just wants to put their hand in everything. Period. To try and keep control.
Yeah.
Okay, to me, the real question it is because not only with hearing your opinions and a lot of the other women, and even before they made this decision, when we were talking about this, about women, we better get ready because this is coming down the pipe, and we were saying this months ago. To me, what I've been reading and what I've been hearing a lot is a lot of the women are mad because they cannot have an abortion. And the excuses that they're using is who's going to take care of the baby? Or, I had a one night stand and now I'm pregnant. That's not a reason to get an abortion.
Right. I was looking at the news yesterday, and one of the people who was actually advocating for abortion for Roe versus Wade to not be overturned actually said something that kind of hit me, and like it hit me weird. But it was saying, she's pretty much was saying that the kind of decisions that women have been making these past 50 years, knowing that they pretty much had a safety net called abortion, all of that is going to be rocked now because now they don't have that safety net no more. But all that said, to me, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm all for women having the right to do whatever they want with their body. You know, I am pro-life when it comes to my child, but pro-choice when it comes to everybody else because I don't know their story. But the way that she was explaining it, it came off to me as now women don't have to be accountable.
Right.
That kind of hurts the goal of what was trying to be said. You know, it's like, no, you don't want to say that, oh, they was making these decisions basically pretty much because they knew they can have an abortion. That means that, oh, I can go out there and do whatever I want because I got this safety net behind me. No, that's hurting the cause right there.
When I was active duty, and I knew this firsthand because it was a friend of mine during that time until I found out what was going on. And it's like Tori had mentioned, no, you ain't supposed to. She's right. Men can get women pregnant all day, every day. Mm-hmm. And a woman is going to be pregnant for 9 months. So during the 9 months while she's pregnant, dudes are out there still getting women pregnant. But I also knew a couple of females, not a lot, but it was this one female in particular. Every time, and I promise you, every time she found out she was pregnant, what did she do? She went to the clinic. It got so bad to the point that the government, because we were active duty, had to step in on her because she was having abortion after abortion after abortion. And they were getting ready to do an article, whatever, I forgot the UCMJ code, but they were getting ready to kick her out because she was destroying government property because of how many times she was getting abortions. She was not using the abortions as a medical term, or a medical reason for her safety or for the child. She was doing it as a form of birth control. And there was birth control everywhere during this time. Free condoms were available, free sex education. All of this stuff was available. She just knew that she can go down there, get it done, whether it was for taking the certain pills. And when she found out that those pills weren't working, then she would actually go in and get procedures done. That is my big thing about this whole situation. You know, and that's why I said I don't believe in that part.
Right.
So
I
is
agree
everything
with that. I know some females who were like that as well. They were using it as a monthly form of birth control, and it's like, of all the ways that you could prevent pregnancy, you go to the most extreme one, which I never understood because,
right?
Okay, if you don't get pregnant easily, you as a woman should take responsibility and say, okay, I'm going to go on the pill, the birth control pill, or an IUD, or the little implant thing that goes in your arm that prevents your chances of pregnancy. And you should also be telling your sexual partner, hey, I get pregnant really easily. Let's wrap this up. You know, like it's not that difficult. And even if you decide not to do those first two steps, you still have the Plan B pill, which you can take up to 3 days after you've had sex, that prevents the implanting of the actual egg. So it's like you have 3 or 4 different options that you could use before you go to the whole extreme of abortion. But even if you decide to get an abortion, right? Like let's say you do have a one-night stand and you know, it's right when you're ovulating, but you lose track because you're drunk and you don't care or whatever, you know, it's still nobody's business but you and your doctor of how you want to go about that.
Right.
And that's the whole issue I have is, even though I don't personally agree with abortion or would get an abortion, it's still not, just because I believe that doesn't mean that I can force another woman to adhere to whatever code I'm living by. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now,
I agree.
Yeah, I get that. Now there's a lot of developments that's coming back to the surface because of, you know, the Roe versus Wade being overturned, such as I did not know that Jews are protected up under their First Amendment right to get abortions, their freedom of religion. And their religion, if a woman gets married out of wedlock, gets pregnant out of wedlock, they abort that child. How do you feel about that versus having a Roe versus... They found a way to be constitutionally protected. Why can't every woman find a way to be constitutionally protected?
They don't care. They don't give a damn about us.
Right, exactly.
They really don't. Like, because if it was about protecting women and protecting the unborn, then we would they would have really redone the whole law. They would have said, okay, if you get pregnant, even though abortion's out, whoever the dude was that you get pregnant by, they need to be supporting you both financially and medically with all the bills that are about to come about. We need to make sure that this child, and make sure the child has proper medical access to medical facilities after it's born. We need to make sure this child has a meal every single day. You know, we're running out of baby formula. We need to make sure that these babies are fed. They got diapers. They got the proper medical treatment from the time that they're born to the time that they're 18. But the approach that we actually have is, you know, you're pregnant? Okay, keep it, and good luck. It doesn't matter. Once the baby's born, they don't give a damn about you. They don't care. And that shows the truth in their nature. They just want to control women and not actually support or ensure the safety of the children.
I agree with that. I agree 100%. Because if it was just gender related, why don't they, like you said earlier, why don't they hold men accountable like they're trying to hold women accountable? Why not put vasectomies on the table for men?
Hey.
You see what I'm saying? Why not hold it to a man? Oh, well, you already have 2 children.
I think
you know what I'm saying. Let's put a.
Let me place a difference. Let me place a difference on that, because in Roe versus Wade is your right to be cut open, or to be having something done to your body. You know, you're asking for that right, for something to be done to your body. But men aren't asking for for something to be done to their bodies.
No, but
They're
you're
asking to leave it
responsible
alone.
for that right.
We're asking. We're not. There's men out here that's behind y'all 100%, but you're throwing them up under the bus.
No,
I don't
I'm
wanna
throwing
be
the men
I'm
that's
not
under
saying
the bus.
You can't get. I'm not saying you can't get an abortion, and most men aren't saying you can get an abortion. Most men aren't. It's just that few that's having to have power right now. But you're throwing them up under the bus by telling us we got to go get something done to our bodies when we're saying no. Let y'all have that decision.
You throwing all women under the bus.
I just said most men.
At all with that though, because it's just a question that needs to be asked, right? It's not saying, I'm not even saying, I think all men should have a vasectomy, because I don't believe in controlling another person's body.
Right.
So what I am saying is, we're going to use the logic of the burden and decision making is only on the women.
Right.
Why don't we also include our male counterparts, because they have as much responsibility in pregnancy as a woman does.
Now the reason why I'm
more because men can have multiple children at once.
I get the logic of it, but at the same time, they have pushed forward for that to be a bill, for that to be a law that they enacted. And I'm over here fighting for a law for y'all to not be touched if y'all don't want to be touched. But the same women I'm fighting for are fighting for a law for me to be touched if I don't want to be touched. It's hypocritical. I get the logic behind it, but it's hypocritical. You can't say that we want...
I'm not saying I support it. I'm just saying that, if they were really about equal treatment of reproductive rights, then they would have addressed that side to it. Not saying that it's good at all, because again, I don't believe the government should have any say so in what you physically do to your own body, because you should be self-affirming as adults, right? But I'm saying if they are going to play this type of game, then they need to address both sides.
Okay, now I get that. All right, Melinda, we got you back on the line. We were talking about pretty much the well, I'm sorry. What was the? I got sidetracked.
Tori and I were saying about with women, if the government and men want to control women so much, and I believe you said something about this as well. Why are we not holding men accountable also? Why not say, like they told us in the military, oh, well, you're still too young to get your tubes tied. Yes, you're married, but what if you get a divorce? You only have 2 children. Why can't they do the same thing with men? It's like you said, it's the reason a woman is pregnant is because of a man.
The reason why a man is a father is because of a woman. It's a
because
two-way
we're
responsible
having the child.
street.
Yes.
You can't say that the reason why a woman is pregnant is because of a man. No, it's the reason why a woman is pregnant is because a man and a woman laid down and had sex. That's only calling for accountability on both sides. Yeah, rape or incest. That's another part, because I think that rape and incest should be separated from Roe versus Wade, because Roe versus Wade outlaws all abortions. I think rape and incest should be something that should be separated in order, because who wants to look at their rapist for 18 years? You're going to be raising that child, and that child is going to look like the person that took advantage of you and put you in your weakest moment of your life.
Some people still do.
That's
I know
cool.
a lot of
That's
women
their
that's
choice.
had their child.
But that's their choice.
Yeah,
that's what I'm fighting. Like, I think that if a mother does not want to,
but just on that, what if you have one of them bitter women that get mad at the baby daddy, and just because they're mad at him, all of a sudden I'm raped?
Yeah,
no.
And that should be where they should get that in the court of law, because right now, it should be case by case, exactly. Because right now, when you look at rape cases, because of the Me Too movement, not calling the Me Too movement a bad thing, but because of it now, there's a heavy stigma on if a woman says that they was raped or sexually assaulted. Like Johnny Depp has done something that possibly no man will ever probably be able to do ever again. They won't be able to repeat that, because he was the abused one, but a woman said that he abused him, and he proved that to be wrong. You ain't going to find too many men that are falsely accused of rape or sexual harassment that will beat that case. So I get what you're saying on that, but that's also another topic that we need to address.
Yeah. And these are all different topics just under the same umbrella.
Under the same umbrella. That's why I'm saying rape and incest should be completely separated.
That's why they messed up by addressing it the way they did. They really didn't think it through the way that they addressed it, because it's like there's a huge gray area of questions. And you also have to ask, okay, what about, like, I know a few guys have approached me with this question. They had a girlfriend or whatever. The girlfriend got pregnant. The guy wanted to keep the child, right? But the girlfriend didn't. And so it's like, if we're going to include our male counterparts in this discussion, we also need to talk about what happens when the man wants to keep a child but the woman doesn't, and she wants to get an abortion. Is that within a man's legal right now, or are we still supporting the whole my body, my choice thing? Because if a guy is willing to take care of the child, even as a single father, you know, should he be stripped away from fatherhood because he got a girl who didn't want to be pregnant?
Yeah.
True.
That's I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Mel.
I was just saying that's a good question.
Yeah, and I'm actually a real advocate about that, because, you know, there's a lot of men out there that actually want to be fathers, and on all spectrums of the fatherhood, from the original birth of the child all the way up until the graduation, all the way up to their first child, you know, so on and so forth. They want that, but they're being robbed of that daily, not even just through abortion, but through custody and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Some women are having their child raised and calling another man dad, you know what I'm saying, while the real dad wants to be in that child's life. But it seems like when we talk about men taking away women's right, and I'm gonna be a devil's advocate on this, because I'm kind of was in that boat. It seems like once that child is born, the man has no rights. All of the rights go away from the man, and the woman, the mother, has all of his rights in her hand. She can do with them as she please. But yet there are still men out there knowing this, wanting that woman to have their child because they want that child. How do we approach that?
Well, that begs the question of, you know, does a woman getting pregnant, is that her full responsibility? Or are we going to express this as like a whole family nucleus type situation, right?
Right.
Because, again, you could flip that coin. A girl could be in an abusive relationship and about to leave, and the guy knows it, and then he ends up getting her pregnant out of spite just to keep her there. So now it's like, okay, is that baby even going to be in a safe environment when it comes to the world? And should that woman even have to carry the child at all when she's trying to escape abuse?
Exactly.
It's a huge gray area. We just aren't addressing it as a nation.
Right. And another thing that we need to address... I'm sorry, go ahead, Mel. Go ahead.
Oh, it is a sticky situation. I know my child is a product of rape, and being in Texas, they're all for fathers' rights. So Gregory Abbott, when he was Attorney General, had given the father rights. So we have joint custody. Oh my goodness!
I have a friend of mine on Facebook. Keep going, Mel.
Even though I have transcripts, police reports, things that should have terminated the rights of the father and never did, thanks to Gregory Abbott. So it's hard. It's harsh. You know, do you give? You know, it's got to be case by case, because do you give the father rights to a child that he wants? Of course you do. You know, but in this particular case,
it shouldn't
have.
Right.
That's just like a friend of mine.
Whenever he gets out, now he's gonna be able to see my child.
Now, I don't agree with that at all, because that's endangerment to you and the child.
That's right.
You know, like,
well, of course, but in this case, being in Texas, they believe in father's right. So I had no choice. This is where I live.
It's not just in Texas, because I have a friend of mine who that very thing happened, except for she lost custody of her child, and he has the child.
And got child support.
And now, even though he raped her and he has custody of the child, she has to pay him child support.
So it
exactly. It is by case basis, and that's where, like I'm saying, everything falls under this umbrella, and you're always going to have a case by case situation, and a lot of it, unfortunately, overshadows real cases like this are those women who get pregnant and they get upset with the man that they get pregnant by, and they do not want to have the child, or they hold it over their child. Oh, okay, well, I'm pregnant now, so I'm just going to do you and get child support. It's like something that just unraveled, and it keeps unraveling till you have to get to a point to say, look, okay, we're just making a stand on this. And if it falls under the umbrella, then God be with you. That's how, to me, what happened yesterday.
I mean, honestly, like, knowing this, if I was a guy, if I was a single dude, right, and I knew I wanted to go sleep with women, you bet your last dollar I'm getting a vasectomy right away. Because if you think about it, I know too many guys who, they thought that they were having safe sex. Then the girl is lying about being on birth control, or lying about, I can't have kids anymore, or I got my tubes tied. You never know who you're sleeping with, right?
Yep.
I would go, if I was a dude, would go and get a vasectomy today.
I know a couple of guys that did that.
You're not risking having a child by somebody you really don't know, and you really don't know their intentions.
Right.
I'm not saying we should have the government force them to get vasectomies, but if I was a dude and I knew I could get every girl I met pregnant, child, I would be making a doctor's appointment today.
That's how the vasectomy should be approached, because there's men out there who don't like sleeping around. Like, me personally, all my homeboys used to do that stuff, and I used to hear about AIDS. I don't know if anybody else remember that. Yeah. I know we got this new thing called COVID, and we got these new cancers and stuff, but y'all still remember AIDS, right? I was definitely afraid of that since the early 90s. So I've always been the type that if I'm having sex with somebody, I know them. I have probably once or twice in my life had a random sex with somebody, and I'm gonna say it, nothing happened, but I do regret it because I don't know that person. I don't know if that was the best sex of my life or not, because I was drunk. So that's why vasectomy should be approached that way. Go ahead.
That happens all the time, though. That happens all the time, especially like my time in the military. My God, you pull into a port call every other day, every other week, and people they want to have sex, and it doesn't matter if you know them or not. It happens all the time. So if you're going to be out here having sex like that, you need to first of all protect yourself, and second of all, if you aren't ready for a child, then it's on you to make sure that doesn't come up.
Right.
Exactly.
And that right there, and I hate to say it like this because it makes me seem like I'm an advocate for them overturning Roe versus Wade, but all of this can really be avoided if everybody was just a little bit more careful. I mean, men and women. There's plenty of ways men could not get a woman pregnant, and there's plenty of ways a woman cannot get pregnant with a man. That she don't want to have a baby by. And at the end of it all,
and then you also have those sick dudes out there who want to have 1 million kids. Look at all the documentaries about these cult leaders who want to have a child by every woman that they come in contact with, because it's a power thing. You also have it where it's like, it don't matter if you trying to protect yourself or not. You got some sick mofos out here that want to have 1 million kids with their last name and their genetics.
Look at Nick
Cannon. Nick Cannon. I mean, he out here just populating the world. Yes, he got the money for it, but, and this is something Eric and I talked about, just because you have the money for it, are you going to be there in every way possible for that child. No, you're not.
I believe so.
How? Just because you pick him up every time you try to do something?
Y'all are looking at it as he's too busy. He has secured it to where he has multiple streams of income coming in without him even leaving the house anymore. I believe he can do it. Look at Nick Cannon. Look at Mike and Kate plus 8. Ain't that who? They had 8 children, and they are doing a phenomenal job with them. Yeah, they're divorced now.
They weren't trying to have those kids, so that was through IVF. That was just a miracle right there.
But it happened, and look at how much time Mike spent with his kids. Mike spent, and he had a job. So it can be done. It can be, but the average man cannot do it.
Yeah, but again, that goes back to if you look at socioeconomic. I have an aunt. She's got 4 kids by 4 different men, and she is living in poverty. So it's like just because you can't, and we told her because she thought she was one of those women who thought, oh, I can't have kids. Boom, she gets pregnant. Then she gets pregnant again. Then 9 months later, pregnant. It was like back to back. And we were like, dude, get your freaking tubes tied because you don't have a job. These kids are going to live in poverty, and you're just setting it up for generational curses.
Right.
And where are the fathers? They're nowhere to be found because she was hooking up with random dudes.
See?
So it's like, if you're going to be an adult, you need to take personal responsibility
Exactly.
for what happens. Now, I understand if you get raped and you are not trying to have a kid, that's a totally different subject. But for people out here just like having sex every day or whatever, like you gotta be careful, and you can't blame anybody but yourself.
Exactly.
All right, and I got another question. All right, and Mel, I want to direct this towards you when it comes to, because I know you have children. You this would be more of some advice you would give them about contraceptives, because they was pretty much stating that yesterday that the rule on contraceptives will stay the same. It would not be touched or anything like that. Do you promote Plan B to your child? Do you tell them that, look, you can't get an abortion, but you can go get these so-called abortion pills because they're still legal? Do you promote that to where if you knew they was promiscuous, that would be your fallback in helping them to not get pregnant?
I would not, but that's my personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
If my daughter did come up to me and asked me something, that's one thing. It's something that I have to pray about.
Okay.
But Plan B comes in and a pregnancy test anyways. If you crack those puppies open, there's a Plan B in there.
Oh, wow.
So
if you pick up a what?
What? Yeah. Pregnancy test? I've never had a pregnancy test with a Plan B pill in it.
Me either.
Yep. If you crack them open.
If you
crack them open.
What is this? What are we cracking open?
The pregnancy test.
The pregnancy test.
Which brand? Like, I've never heard of that.
We need to
Wait a minute.
this.
We need to, yeah.
We need to promote this. What is it again?
But I mean, it comes with it. Personally, like I said, I don't know what I would say to my child. I don't know what I would say to another child, considering that, knowing that it's just something for you to use as a contraceptive.
Right.
Do you believe that the Plan B pill is a form of abortion?
It is. But there's no viability.
Exactly. So it's not an abortion.
So I mean, it's not really an abortion. It's just trying to...
It's preventing it from turning into an actual fetus?
Right.
Right.
Even before it gets to a fetus, it has to be a viable organism in the yolk sac. And that's what the Plan B stops. It's just like your period. So are you trying to say that your period is a natural form of abortion? Your period and ovulation.
Right.
So, to me... Go ahead.
Go ahead, Erica.
No, I was going to say, I don't look at the Plan B pill as a form of abortion because you're preventing the conception.
Right. I agree with that.
So,
I personally, assaulted in college. Me and my best friend, we were sexually assaulted by the same dude. And I had to take Plan B because you don't know. Like, I took it and she took it. And also with dudes that I was dating, you know, if I wasn't on birth control, because birth control used to really mess up my hormone cycle, and the dude I was dating was being an idiot, or, you know, we would just have one drunk night and just be irresponsible, I would take Plan B because I knew that somebody got to take responsibility, first of all, you know, if we're not going to be responsible during the process. But also, I knew I didn't want to bring a child into a unstable environment just because I'm over here having unprotected sex.
But you just brought up
I don't do Plan B,
I'm sorry, but you did bring up a good point where you said, and I'm sorry that you were sexually assaulted in college, but something came out of that. Why don't they have a Plan B in every rape kit in the hospital?
Exactly. Well, okay, they actually, when they do, if you go through the proper channel. So, if you are raped and you go to the hospital and you tell them, hey, I need a rape kit done, I was sexually assaulted, they will, you know, do the whole screening and all that crap, and then they'll ask you, do you want to take this form of Plan B or whatever. They're not forcing you to. They actually recommend that you get on antibiotics. They do a screening for HIV or STDs and all that.
Right.
But they recommend you immediately take it because you could be pregnant and you won't know for a few weeks. But if you go through the proper channels, they should offer you that automatically.
Wouldn't that
But
be?
you know, there's a lot of shame with Plan B still. Like, I remember when I did go through that, and I went to my local CVS or Walgreens, and I asked for the Plan B pill. The freaking pharmacist was like, "Are you sure?" Like, bitch, yes, I'm sure. What are you talking about? Like,
I'm glad they don't look at me no kind of way. they don't look at me no kind of way. I guess because I'm a dude. Because I'm walking out. Let me get a Plan B. Matter of fact, let me get 5 of them. Yeah, it's gonna be that kind of a weekend, sir.
Yeah. Like, if I went in, I've experienced that a couple times. You go in to go pick this up, either for you, and they don't know if it's for you or a girlfriend of yours or whatever. You go in, you have to get it unlocked most of the time,
Wow.
and then they look at you sideways. But if I had my husband with me, right? Let's say we go in together, or my boyfriend, and he's with me, then it's like, oh, you guys, you know, you're being just so safe. Like,
Nah, they like, let me help this. They like, let me help this man out. That's how they be looking at it. Let me help this man out.
Yeah.
But that seems like
there's a lot of shit that goes around it.
right. But you got to think about it. And I'm not trying to belittle anything because I've never been sexually assaulted or raped or anything like that. So I'm not trying to belittle anything. But wouldn't it be like worse to find out 4 or 5 weeks down the line that you're now having your rapist baby? Like that Plan B in a rape kit. I mean, you already having a rape kit, so the shame is already kind of there. You just have to persevere just a little bit, be a little bit stronger to even go through that process. So, but I think that should be something that should be educated or taught to like everybody. Not even
But
just
how
women.
can you talk to people when they don't even want to talk to sex education in school? Sex education begins at home, but it also should be allowed in schools. And I believe as early as the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade.
As long as the curriculum is skinny.
I'm just saying, and I'm not saying the older you get, yes, that's when you get into the anatomy. But when you start getting into 4th grade and under, you should at least teach, this is my body. You don't let nobody else touch it. This is a boy, this is a girl. You know what I'm saying? We have different parts. But the older you get, that's where you start getting into contraception. That's where you start talking about the LGBTQ, the pill. You start talking about all of that because it's happening and it's real. You know, you have little girls now that are starting their periods at 7 and 8 years old. What you gonna tell them?
Yeah.
You have to tell them.
Right.
They're becoming a young woman now.
What is wrong with y'all girls? Like, why is that
That's
happening?
That's something that they think is in the water or in the pills or the food or something that
Well,
we eat.
That's
That's
it.
not
It's the
normal.
food.
It's in the food,
It's
yeah.
the food because if you're not eating, it's scientifically proven. There's like several case studies on it, but because they're pumping so many hormones into meat and dairy specifically, and pregnant women are ingesting that, that's altering their children's DNA. That's why they say, like, eat organic, non-genetically modified, because all those chemicals and hormones actually are affecting our DNA. And so when kids, they're giving them a glass of milk. I remember growing up in school, they had posters everywhere, got milk. That's just
Right.
promoting the dairy industry. And so they would say, oh, you drink milk, you're going to have strong bones. Actually, what you're ingesting is a crap ton of hormones that were given to a much larger mammal than us. And
Yeah.
those growth hormones are now affecting the rate of bodily maturity in our youth. It's not normal at all.
Not at all. Because a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old should not be becoming forced to be a woman already. Where's her childhood at?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She walking around
Right.
with bigger breasts than most of these grown women. And imagine the body shaming she's going to get.
Yes.
And imagine with her as a young child, not
Yes.
only, and I hate to say it, you old enough to bleed, you old enough to breed. So you're going to have chesters out
Yes.
there. She can be on the verge of being raped or something like that. And that's
Exactly.
something that we have to look at, and that's something we have to protect
she
our
may
children
not even
from.
know she just got
and
raped.
she don't even know.
Yeah.
She's not going to know, especially
Well,
if
yeah,
nobody
you
talks
brought
about
up
it.
You brought up a good point, Erica, about the shame. I remember growing up, the only sex education I was getting from home was just my parents telling me, don't have sex. They didn't go into the biology of it, why, really. It was a religious-based view of, it's a sin, don't have sex, you're going to go to hell, God doesn't like people having sex out of marriage. Well, I get that side of it, right, but that's not good enough. I knew as a child, I was always curious, like, well, what's the big deal, I didn't know about the actual dangers, no one explained STDs or any pregnancy scares or anything like that, or definitely not contraception. So I think if we're going to, make sure that we're raising fully educated and conscientious adults, we need to explain to our youth, this is why you do or do not make this decision now. And if you do decide to jump the gun on it, before I personally think you're ready, well, this is how to safely go about that. We have to be very open about sex education if we want to prevent unwanted pregnancies.
Now, I can agree with that. And I'm sure that Mel can agree with me on this one because we were in the same class. And yes, I'm telling my age. I'll be 50 in October. But I remember back in the day, remember, Mel, we used to have sex education classes. We used to have home ec.
Yeah.
We had shop. We had art. All of this was taught to us in school. We had accounting. We had typing. Now, these newer generations, I truly feel sorry for them because if you're not, and it's like Victoria made a good note. If you're not getting the education, the proper education at home, back then, like when me and Mel went to school, that's where you were properly educated at. We were in what, 7th grade, 8th grade? When they separated the boys and girls, and we had...
Oh, they separated you?
Yeah, we had sex ed class. Yes,
Man,
they
ain't
separated
us. Women knew what the dick was.
Sex ed class as well in middle school, but it wasn't proper sex ed. They sat us down, they separated the boys and the girls, and they just said, don't have sex before you're married because it's not the right thing to do. Now, this was in Sinton. You know where Sinton's at, Erica?
Yep.
That tiny itty-bitty town outside of Corpus. technically they were funded by the state. That was the state-funded sex ed. That was our education, and your parents had to sign a waiver and say you could be there. But the people that they brought in just said, don't have sex because it's not the right thing to do, and you want to save yourself for marriage. Well, shit, that ain't telling me anything, because I have, as a kid, you're like, well, it still doesn't explain why not. It
Right.
just explains your moral values as to why not. But medically speaking, it doesn't tell me anything at all.
I don't know what they did, but they told us medically, morally, ethically, we had to actually pass tests. And back then, you knew what each body part was, because it was as if you were in an anatomy class for male and female. And they dove into not just the scientific part, but the medical part. And then at the end of class, you got everybody laughing and talking and being embarrassed. But that's where you learned. That's where you knew.
I don't know if this is a memory or probably just something I watched on Pornhub, but I could have a bad memory in 7th grade. My two teachers getting on the desk and having sex in front of us just to show us how to have. I could have sworn that's a memory.
No, that's Pornhub.
Sure, because I see Miss DeVore. Ugh, never mind.
Yeah.
As a child, they be in
Well, they have sex ed now. I know my daughter has gone through it in 5th grade and her sophomore year. So we had to sign a waiver where parents had the right to either take them out or to watch it. But they also allowed the parents to watch the video before they showed it to their children.
That's good.
fantastic.
So, I mean, I saw that in 5th grade. She had to watch it. And then for 5th grade year, she had to watch it.
I think I traumatized my boys because I wasn't trying to have any unwanted pregnancies, or because I'm a mother, I'm a mom, a boy mom. So I wasn't trying to have baby mamas or baby daddies or anything like that. I didn't have a problem. Plus, I'm medical. So we came home with the big TV. Oh, we're watching what herpes look like. We watching what AIDS looks like. We watching all of that. We're getting into the nitty gritty. I also showed them what an abortion is. Yes, I did. I also showed them how you have one. They did a surgical one. They did the suction tube. They also did the pill. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to sugarcoat or hide anything from you, because this is where you're in the dark and how you grow up not knowing.
That actually brings up a good point. Do you want to show your children this? Because how do they know they will be getting a back alley abortion if they decide to go get one?
Exactly. That's why you show them, or you at least sit down and have some type of conversation with them.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing too. It's like, if you truly want to protect your kids from, having misguided information, you as a parent have to take the responsibility of educating them, because if you leave it up to the school or the state, you don't know what agenda or information your kids are getting.
Exactly.
You have, as a parent, that the individuals that you brought into the world are properly educated so that we can prevent misinformation from spreading.
I think I educated mine too much. I'm ready for grandkids, and neither one of them won't be.
they laugh at it.
I got a 28 and a 24-year-old. I'm like, come on, y'all. They was like, no. I'm not mad at them.
Where the problem lies. I think that's where the problem lies with parents. A lot of parents don't want to do things now.
Right.
I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying they want an easy route to do whatever it is.
Right. Exactly. Lack of accountability.
They don't want to take responsibility of trying to teach your children. It's hard. Nobody said it was going to be easy.
Right. Exactly.
Parents have to be parents and not friends. I'm not your friend.
That.
Right.
We can have some friendly conversations. But that's it.
Yes, but even when I was going through microbiology, anatomy, physiology, I taught Elizabeth everything. Everything that I could think of, things that we had to go through, gonorrhea, I'm all there. I want you to know. I want you to know what a sore looks like, what herpes looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But that's me being a parent to my child.
Right.
There are a lot of parents who just don't. I don't feel like doing this. I would rather pot a meal than to actually cook on the weekend because I don't feel like cooking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was
Right.
I agree with you. That's why I did it the way I did it too.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
good. I wish I had parents like that because my brother and I, we went to our parents and we were like, look, we just had this weird thing, like we really don't have our questions being answered, and we asked them to explain it, and their response was, well, the Bible says you need to wait or they would kind of demonize us and shame us, like, well, why do you want to know? Because you're not anywhere close to being married, and the Bible says you have to wait to have sex to get married. I'm like, but that's not real life. That's not how we actually live. That's not real life. That's your views, and I understand that they were trying to raise us in a biblical manner. But also, for all the Christians who are listening to this, that's not a good enough explanation.
it isn't.
No.
Just because your mind says so, you need to take real responsibility because you know how this world works. Even if you don't want your kids out there having sex, you still should educate them properly versus just saying, well, God views it as a sin. Well, gosh dang it. You need to explain yourself. Because
why
that
is it a
also
sin?
says fruitful multiplies. And if your kids are out here doing that too, you can't be mad at them when they get pregnant.
And that's a good point because when they say that God sees it as a sin, okay, why does he see it as a sin? Well, son, let me explain to you. If you're out there just having sex with any old girl that comes across your path, you're liable to catch an STD. Don't know what an STD is? Here, watch this video. Boom. Now you got through watching that video. Now, son, if you continue to sleep around, you may end up getting a woman pregnant or 4 or 5 of them pregnant. Oh, you don't know what that's going to lead to? Let me show you these child support payments that this other man had to pay over his years for one child. No, that's how this is why it's a sin. Don't just tell them the icing on the cake and they see that that's a red velvet cake right there. They want a piece. Give them the whole piece because I guarantee you if they eat too much of it, they're going to get sick of it.
And that also, like what Victoria was saying about how she said she was sexually assaulted, unfortunately, in college. Usually when you're naive, and I'm not even going to say just when you're naive, because a sexual assault can happen to anybody. But if you know what is happening, or if you know that this is wrong, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then you can be better prepared. Or, you're not ever prepared for that situation, but you know what I'm saying? You can be better prepared for that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. If you're educated, if you are educated, you are empowered.
Yes.
So if you're your kids of just shaming them about the discussion, well, you're just enabling them to make a correct and informed decision, which ends up with horrible consequences sometimes that could have been completely prevented.
Yeah, you're right. All right, but now before we actually get to the wrapping it up, I do have this one thing that when I was watching the news yesterday, I was watching the lieutenant governor of California. She is pro-choice, but I'm just kind of worried about where the advice that she was giving. First, she said that who are the justices to tell us what we can do with our bodies? But to me, in a way, that sounds like, and I've been in and out of jail not most of my life, but a lot of my life, and that sounds like something that a criminal would say while I was locked up. Who is this judge to tell me he gonna give me life or he can't get, But she also says that you should defy the Supreme Court. To me, that sent Trump-like vibes to me.
The insurrection. Yeah.
Like, do you think she's going too far in what she's saying? I understand where she's coming from, but do you think that's going a little too far when she's saying defy the Supreme Court?
What exactly does she mean by defy the Supreme Court? It could mean by being educated. It could mean by continuing to take a stand. It could mean by, now that it's out of federal hands and it's back in state hands, it could mean getting out there and making sure you have the right people that's on your side in office. It all depends on how she said it. I don't know. That's how I'm looking at it.
What about you, Mel? How do you see that when she tells the women out there to defy the Supreme Court?
I agree agree with Erica completely. There are so many different views that you can see it from, and whatever your mentality is of her statement. It's left right open.
And Tori, what about you?
I 100% agree with her. Okay, I'll be damned if I let some random government entity try to control the autonomy of my body. Like, hell yeah, I'm defying it. Hell yeah, there ain't no way that a group of men decide what's best for me and my body. You know, those decisions are between me and my husband and God and nobody else. No one else should be making those type of decisions for me. So yeah, I'm all about the defiance. I'm down for a revolution, to be honest. If I have one.
I was about to say, Tori is gonna get the torch. Revolution.
I need to cut these mics off. I'm inciting insurrections. Shit. I don't want to see the Supreme Court go down now.
No, burn it off down, because this whole system's jacked up.
The whole system is jacked up. And in order for... And I think it's imploding on itself, actually. I think everything is turning backwards. It's going back. So, like I said in the beginning, this is just... It's a cover-up for what
something else
is happening. I don't know exactly what it is, but something else is about to come down the pipeline. So...
I mean, if you look at the past 5 or 6 years, right? Every week or every month, there's something that is happening that is riling people up and drawing attention from things that are happening in the shadows, right? So, you know, whether it's another mass shooting or some jacked up politician saying or doing something whack, or something like this, Roe v. Wade being overturned. What is it that they are trying to draw our focus to? Versus us actually paying attention to what's going on behind all the facade. That's what we should be asking.
Right.
They're doing this, but what are they trying to distract us from what's actually going on?
You're right. You're right. I mean, this came out of the blue. I mean, we all seen it coming, but it did come out of the blue. Like, seriously, why are we even discussing this whole issue of something that has already been settled 50 years ago?
Right. Why did they have to bring it back up? What has happened? What's been going on in the minds of the Supreme Court, the presidents, everybody, that we just had to tackle Roe v. Wade? Mm-hmm. Maybe they are trying to make AI artificial people now.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, I don't know if y'all are familiar with that show, The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
But this is actually getting into that territory.
It sure is.
Clarence Thomas is trying to take it even further. Now, this man, he's a black gentleman, right? He's a Supreme Court justice. He has an interracial marriage. And he himself, his arguments are leaning towards taking it all the way back to where we make interracial marriage illegal again.
Now, I'm glad. Hold on. Wait. I'm so glad you brought that up, because if you remember Handmaid's Tales, there was a woman that was running all of it. They had one man, but he was being run by a woman. If you remember it, I ain't talking about the house that the handmaid, the star was in. I'm talking about like the dude that, now Clarence Thomas, like you just said, he is married. He has an interracial relationship. He has an interracial marriage, but yet he's talking about revisiting interracial. How do we know these are his words and not his wife's?
But if
that's why I'm saying he's sunken place. Like, he really is sunken place.
He in the sunken place. He need to get out.
No, for real, because you have these Uncle Ruckus people up in the government who really don't know their lineage or their history, and they are just going along with this Eurovision goal that's happening right now, this ultra-conservative BS going on, and it's like, bro, you don't even know what you're saying. Your own words are about to get your marriage illegal.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just about to say, how is he even talking about an interracial marriage when he just voted about women. So obviously, if he's not worried about women and the rights of them, then he's not really worried about the rights of his wife.
Well, that's the
but
problem.
Look at his
the
children.
Wife may have, I believe personally, the wife pushed these decisions. I don't think he's making these decisions. I think his wife is, because you got to think about it. At the end of the day, who do you consult with about any major decision that you have? You consult with that person you are laying in the bed with, because at the end of the day, that's who you are with before you go to bed
But
having
do
these
you
conversations.
know how can you make that illegal? Well, you can make it illegal because
it
they
was.
just legalized the lovings back in the 50s or 60s.
For the miscegenations?
From Virginia, from them being, But look at the children.
All that has to happen is the Supreme Court is approached with whatever law, and they have to do what they did yesterday. They vote on it, and then boom, now it's up to the state. It's no longer federally protected. And shoot, down here in the South, like I'm from Texas, but I live in Florida right now, and between the East Coast and the Bible Belt, you would think that in certain places you're still in the Jim Crow era.
Oh, of course.
Even in Texas, if you look at Vidor in Orange, Texas, that's the KKK area up in Texas. And there's literally people who were stationed with my husband over in Port Arthur who were black, and they were driving through town, not knowing where they're at because they're not from the South, and getting stopped and saying, "What do you think you're doing here?" Like, this country ain't about interracial marriages or freaking what's the word? Not segregation. The opposite of that.
Integration.
Integration.
There's people still who are pissed that we have both of those freedoms right now.
Hey, I ain't gonna. It's a lot.
Absolutely anything to overrule that.
It's a lot of black people that are mad about integration. I mean, look at what MLK said right before he died. He feared he has integrated his people into a burning house. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, I see you, especially for Florida though. What you're saying, like with Florida, I'm surprised they aren't even pushing abortion laws.
Why should they?
No, I'm just saying because it's fucking Florida. Like, if anything happens in this country that's fucked up, you think it would be in Florida? I'm sorry.
Their governor is worse than Greg Abbott.
Exactly.
Who is that? DeSantis, right?
Yeah, he's the one that talks about the don't say gay bill. You get which I actually agree with.
Their governor is worse than Greg Abbott.
Yes, he is.
As wild as Floridians are, because these people are lawless people out here. My God.
Telling you.
But
she know.
I'm telling you, they're crazy. And people just be having kids left and right out here, right?
Man.
People out here are fertile. But you would think that they would push for more family diet. You know, that's what I don't get is the conservative side of politics is, okay, so you're pushing for children to be born, but are you actually pushing for a unified family?
Nah.
Or are you just trying to protect these unborn kids? Like what? Because it never seems like, oh, well, we want a unified family. Because if you have a unified family, you have a strong force to go up against if they disagree with you, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. But you know,
I don't think they're trying to unify it at all. I think they want to have a bunch of single parent households out here because then you're disenfranchised and you ain't worried about politics. You're worried about putting
I agree with you 100% on that because then they're going to start talking about, oh, well, you're a single family household. Now you're going to be on welfare. Now we're going to have to put you back on Medicare or Medicaid. Now you're going to be on government assistance. But, bro, you wanted this. This is what you've been pushing.
And that's because they're paying for it with their fund bucks while they're pocketing all the real gold and silver, which is the currency we're supposed to be using. They're paying for you to get Medicaid and Medicare. Since they're giving it to you anyways, they're not actually spending real currency on it, real money on it. They're spending that fiat while the real money they're pocketing. So it's more of they can get paid more. They can leverage the United States with more people in it. That's what this whole thing is really about. The bigger the population, the bigger the workforce. Look at China. China has over 1 billion people, right? Well, shoot, over 2-3 billion people, right? Something like that. But yet they are the ones with all the factories.
Yeah, but look at how China used to be when China was only allowed to have one child.
But they wasn't allowed to have one daughter. That's it. But they can have as many boys as they want. Why boys? Because they the ones that work in the factories. So that's what made their economy. Investors wanted to invest in their economy. Bankers wanted to invest in their economy because they know they're gonna make that money. You got nothing but workers over
Well,
here.
that's what at the beginning of this whole thing is when you have a split up household, you have a permanent working class.
Exactly.
Because now you're not worried about making huge environmental and political change. You're worried about surviving.
Exactly.
So if you're below, if your whole family is below middle class, you are working at least 1 to 2 jobs just to cover basic necessities. You ain't worried about what this or that politician's doing. You're just trying to eat. And so, I mean, if you look at it from that part, yeah, this is a smart move to boost the economy because now you've increased the amount of workers that will be provided.
Exactly. And that's why, to me, that's the whole the fact about abortion, why the Republicans are the ones, because you think Republicans are always the ones talking about fiscal security. But if you know that with all these children running around, we're looking at it from the outside in, that with all these children running around, it's more like all these stray dogs and stuff. So somebody got to take care of them. Somebody got to pay to take care of them. But where are they getting this money from? They're getting it from the investors. And investors aren't going to invest in a company that has no employees.
I mean, also, if you want to get really into some conspiracy, you can look at what's one of the biggest exports that the U.S. has right now.
Sex trafficking?
Is,
Stupid.
huh?
Don't mind her. Go ahead. She said sex trafficking.
If you look at, it's sex trafficking, exactly. So if you are having all these kids, you know, who's to say that you can go to some sketchy black market area or clinic and they say, we want you to have this kid, we'll pay you $10,000 to have the kid.
Oh, yeah.
Give it to us, and then that kid is now a sex trafficked child, but the mom is still being compensated.
CPS.
Like, if you really want to get into some sketchy stuff, sex trafficking is one of the largest markets. It's overcome the drug market, the profitability of the drug market.
And CPS and DCFS has made it legal in the United States. They take children. I'm following this woman on her is My 3andMe on TikTok. She's a lawyer that deals with CPS case because she lost her 3 children and had to fight to get them back. She exposes the CPS for exactly who they are, who I always knew they were, which is the reason why CPS do not bother me. I had CPS called on me 3 times by my children's grandmother, and now it's to the point where they will arrest her next time she calls on me. I don't play with CPS. At CPS, no, I don't. They have no authority over my children. But in the 1830s, the United States did pass laws. I believe it's called parens parias. In that law, it was stating since parents, when they die, if they don't leave their children to somebody, then they would be taken over as wards of the state. But since the state had no power to really do that, they had to make it to where when you sign those birth certificates, you're giving them custody. I mean, not custody, but power over your child. You're just having custody of them. And it's called parens parias. If y'all want to look that up, it's something that we need to be looking into our government and be like, no, why is this even in existence? This doesn't make sense. I didn't give you my child, but yet you could come take them anytime you want, and I can't come get them from you anytime I want.
Well, that goes back to the whole autonomy of oneself. Like, if you really look into Social Security, birth certificates, they all are numbered. You are just a number.
Exactly.
That's why go to apply for, a loan or go into the military or whatever legal documents, they need to see all the legal documents that prove your property, right?
Exactly.
You are the property for the government.
Exactly.
That's why they can tax you.
And this is also why, and I'm sorry, it's parens patriae, Patriae. from the 1830s. But this is exactly why they was able to pass that landmark decision yesterday, because you're destroying government property by getting an abortion. Right. And if you really want that right back, we have to first get the right back to be human beings, natural humans who aren't controlled by an entity. And the only way you're gonna do it, we have to do so much. We should just like Tori said, burn this shit down and rebuild, because there's so many laws that have been in place. Once you tackle one, 10 more have come up in this place that you know nothing about.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's like we're the only species on this planet that have to pay to live here.
Exactly.
That makes no sense to me. It's just that we have decided, you want to stay alive and have a healthy lifestyle and live in a good area, you don't pay. That doesn't make sense at all. That is not how we were designed to go about this earth. Like, we're supposed to be keepers of this earth and of our environment, and instead, some dumbass decided the best way to live is to pay.
Yeah.
Like, this is a scam. I'm not about it.
Exactly. And until we fix that, we got to deal with this one law at a time. But see, that's the whole purpose of getting that information out there and educating people about what's really going on. But you will always have those diehard patriots, and as long as you have those diehard patriots, they're gonna make a lot of decisions for us. So, but ladies, it was a blessing having y'all on. This was I love this whole hour and a half conversation. We was only supposed to do it for an hour, but it was going so good, we had to keep it going for another 31 minutes.
It was really great. It was good information.
Before we leave out, I do want to get everybody's final thoughts of the matter. Let's start with Mel. Mel, what's your final thoughts of the matter? Mel, you still there? All right, we'll go ahead and go with Tori until we Mel comes back, and if she comes back before we end, we'll get her final thoughts. Mel, Tori, what's your final thoughts on the matter?
Final thought: I think everybody should really take a look at if they view themselves as a autonomous individual with individual rights to oneself, and if you do, then you should be very upset about what happened yesterday. And for all my guys out there, if you really want and value the women in your life, support them through this. This affects women of all ages and ethnicities in this country, and some people will be really happy about it. Others will be devastated. But give the women in your life a hug. Let them know you support them, no matter what their decision is. And the fight's not over. Keep the hope. And thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, anytime. It was great having you on. Mel, you back?
I am. My cheek hit mute. I am so sorry.
You okay? I hope you wasn't saying a lot then.
I kept talking. I was like, yeah, okay. No, I'm moving to Canada.
Yeah, right.
I hear you.
Vancouver is beautiful. I've been there.
This is crazy. All of this is crazy.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Vancouver. I remember when Trump was getting elected, and I'm not talking about Trump or nothing like that, but for a whole nother country to tell us they didn't even know us. I was there because for work, and they were like, "Oh, you're an American." I was like, "Yeah." They were like, "Hey, y'all are getting ready to elect this dude. You may as well come on over here." And that tells you something right there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what's his name? Yehoshua?
Yeah.
He was sitting there and he was saying, yes, America, everybody is looking at America, and they're staring at us right now because of what is going on with Ukraine. They're still looking at the whole racism that we have in our country. George Floyd opened up their eyes for real. So yes, America is being looked at, but it's not just a male thing with Roe v. Wade. It's a human thing. Because even with males, and that's why I said, you have your mama, your sister, your aunts, your cousins, your nieces. You have family members, sisters. You have family members. You know what I'm saying? That this is going to affect. This is even going to affect you. Because if you get with the young lady and y'all want to have a child together, what if she's scared? Or what if something happens? You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen. So yes, this does affect you as well.
Well, I think, to be fair, the men don't think that it doesn't affect them because I'm going to be honest with you. We're kind of pissed that we're not allowed in the conversation. We're not. Unless we're saying we're pro-choice, we're not allowed in the conversation. We're not allowed to tell why we're pro-life. Like me, that's why I always lead where I'm pro-choice until it comes to my child. When it comes to my child, I'm pro-life. You know, I can't make a decision for somebody else. And most men feel that way. But they get thrown in the noise where everybody thinks that the man is just trying to... Because you got these men that's in these high positions that are taking charge and are making decisions for women. Rest of us men are getting thrown into that same noise. We're not saying that. We're saying that when it comes to my child, I may be pro-life.
But what makes your child special than anybody else's?
It ain't saying I have no control.
You don't
over
have
everybody
control.
else's
Exactly.
child.
So how you going to turn Roe v. Wade? How can...
No,
I get what you're saying. But I'm like Victoria and Mel on that. How can you tell me what's good for my body even though you don't agree with it or I don't agree with it? I can't tell another female
but what
to
I'm
do.
saying is I think we should stop saying men are saying that and start saying the government is saying
Okay.
that. Because it's a lot of women that are actually saying get rid of abortion too. We're not that should be something we talked about. It's a lot of women out there that
I agree.
So we have to actually. I guess as I'm saying is let's not generalize because now it's causing that rift between men and women when there's actually a lot of men on women's side and a lot of women that's on men's side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
We have to work together if we actually want to make change.
Right.
So,
All right, Michael Jackson.
Right. But on that,
hey, that's what my husband say. I'm just saying. That's what my husband always said.
But I will say that to say this, men. I'm gonna tell you how we can have control of this situation. Be careful who you get pregnant. Yeah. If you do not want a child, don't get a woman pregnant who do want a child. And if you find you do want a child, don't get a woman pregnant who would get an abortion. That's just straight like that.
Yes.
Men who don't want children sleep with women who will get an abortion. And men who wants children, wait for that right one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
To get to the point to where first date, we need to go over some things before we touch each other.
I'm trying to tell you.
Like, either contract or something.
I'm trying to tell you. I mean, it's all about individual responsibility, individual choice. That's why, yes, your body, your choice. I'm all about that. You know what I'm saying? So it should be like that for everybody. Everybody should have that choice in order to be able to do. As long as your choice does not affect me or my property, you should be allowed to have it. But it was a great show, ladies, and I hope y'all had a great time. We're definitely going to come back on here because we may want to follow up in about a month on this. So can I count on you ladies to be ready in a month for another follow-up on this? Because we in a month, right now it just happened, so we got to let everything go process real quick. But I want to revisit this in a month. How that sound?
I'm down.
Perfect. So y'all hear that, everybody? Make sure you go ahead and go to our Facebook page at BOSS Podcast or BOSS Radio. Make sure you go ahead and follow, like, and subscribe to us there. That way you can know that new date. It'll be in a month's time. And we're going to revisit this and find out exactly what's been going on. So everybody get your notepads and take your notes for this next month because I bet it's going to be a big doozy. I hope ain't nobody going to just forget about this. Alrighty, so this is your boy Mr. E, boss of the Southside Bosses, here with my lovely co-host Miss E Squared and our two guests Mel and Tori in there, and we're gonna be revisiting this in a month. So come on back. You already know what it is.
BOSS Southside Boss
Situation, Babylon, bring down the nation. Some say irate, some will burn the fire, and some will take it higher. Let's go, Jalla. I wanna know Jalla. Jalla. Wanna feel Jalla. Wanna see one love. Jalla. Yep. People get ready. People get ready. People get ready. We walk this journey of life. We stay positive and try to survive in a world where money rules. Don't be misled by fools. No matter where you are, your love is never far. And I'm a witness to the power. Love every day and every hour. Your love. I wanna know your love. I wanna feel your love. Lord, I wanna see one love. Your love. You wanna know your love. You got to feel your love. Lord, I wanna see one love. Yes, sir. People get ready. People get ready. People get ready. Got to get ready.
This is talking, but ain't saying nothing.